I'm Stephen Monteith, and I'm here to recommend some movies and TV shows to watch. Um, I've I meant to do this one a while ago, but for one reason or another, I keep putting it off. Personal stuff, whatever. Anyway, um, I've wanted to recommend Avatar: The Last Airbender ever since all the episodes were put on Netflix. I've been meaning to do this episode. It's one of my favorite cartoon shows. It's it's one of those shows that really straddles the line between whether it's a kids show or a show for adults. It's it's something that both can enjoy. It's got a lot of really humorous moments, a lot of great action scenes, and the animation is superb. But it's also got a lot of important themes, like responsibility and growing up. And the characters certainly go through some really great character arcs. The story of The Last Airbender is the story of Aang. He's what's known as the Avatar. He can control the four different elements: air, earth, fire, and water. Most people can only control one of them, at most. But he can control all of them, which means that he can balance them. He can bring harmony to the world. But he's a kid and he has a lot to learn. And just because you can control them doesn't mean you can control them well. So he needs people to teach him. And most of the show is about him learning how and about fulfilling his role as the Avatar in a world that is at war, basically. The Fire Lord, who's the big bad fire-bending bad guy of the series. Eventually, Aang does have to face him, but he, along the way, obviously has to learn about more than just bending, than just controlling the elements before he's ready for a confrontation like that. And he has a lot of friends that he picks up along the way, including at least one former enemy. So that's as much as I'm going to say about it right now. Like I said, Avatar: The Last Airbender, all the episodes are available to watch on Netflix. And the next one I'm going to recommend is The Legend of Korra. Now this is a sequel series to Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's set in the time after the timeline that we explore with Aang and his friends. It's basically like the next generation of Avatar, and as such, it has a lot of spoilers for Avatar: The Last Airbender. So watch Avatar: The Last Airbender first. But once you're done watching that, I definitely recommend watching The Legend of Korra. This show is available on CBS All Access, the first two seasons at least, and you can also find it through Nickelodeon, and it's available on various other streaming sites. Not so much for free if you're looking to just stream it. If you're looking to binge watch it, I know the first two seasons are available for free on CBS All Access, but if after watching those you want to watch more, you're going to need to find another streaming service for that. But I recommend that you do that because it is a great series, at least as good as the first one. And there's when you're talking about the Avatar franchise, you have to at least mention the Avatar movie, not the James Cameron one. We'll get to that later. But we do need to talk a little bit about the live-action Last Airbender movie. That's also available on Netflix. I'm not going to recommend this one. It's not that it's bad. Some parts of it are actually okay. But if you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you haven't seen the animated series, then The Last Airbender is going to seem kind of choppy, because basically what it did was it took some episodes from across the first season of the animated series and tried to tell a cohesive feature-length story with it, and it didn't really succeed. Like I say, if you haven't seen the animated series, you're gonna notice some holes in the story and in the character development, because a lot of stuff obviously couldn't be scrunched in there with the rest. And if you have seen the animated series and then you go to watch the live action movie, you're just going to be disappointed from all the stuff that was left out. So yeah, it's there, but I don't recommend watching it. I just felt I had to mention it, felt I had to bring it up. But since I did bring up the other Avatar movie, this one I definitely do recommend. It has nothing to do with the Last Airbender or the Legend of Korra. It has nothing to do with that franchise. It's simply a gorgeous sci-fi movie. Came out just over a decade ago, and it's really an interesting phenomenon when it comes to movies, because up until Avengers Endgame, it was the highest grossing movie in theaters, and it was just so gorgeous. The story is pretty basic. I mean, everybody who watches it and everybody who reviews it is just like, yeah, the story, it's one we've all heard before. It's Fern Gully set in space, or it's Pocahontas set in space, or it's Dances with Wolves set in space. So what? That's my attitude about that, as far as that goes, because all of these stories can be said to some degree or another to be derivative or to have similarities to other stories. And who cares, really? Because every movie, every TV show, every book, they all have to be able to stand on their own in some way. And I think James Cameron's Avatar does stand on its own. If nothing else, you're going to have the most incredible looking CGI, the most incredible looking alien world in all of sci-fi. And I'm saying that as somebody who grew up on Star Trek and Star Wars. This is some of the best as new life and new civilization stuff that I've seen. So at the very least, you can, take a break from hyper-analyzing or nitpicking plot and story structure and whatnot, and just sit back and watch a really great-looking movie. That one's available on Disney+. And there are actually sequels in the works for it. So hopefully James Cameron will be able to deliver another visual masterpiece at some point in the future. And that's it. I recommend Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. I recommend The Legend of Korra. And I recommend Avatar on Disney Plus. I do not recommend The Last Airbender movie. Thank you for listening. Be sure to tune into my podcast later this week. Tuesday, I'll be talking about current events, and on Thursday, I'll be delivering an entertainment-related podcast. Links will be down below in the description. Thank you for listening.